having me here. Thank you all for being here. Let's give Phyllis a round of applause. And give yourselves a hand too, because you could be anywhere tonight. And you chose to come here, do a little networking, learn some skills, meet some new people. So give yourself. There is a Giants game tonight. Priorities. So, how many of you here would rather do other things besides networking? Okay.
I like it. But I like it.
Who here likes networking but can't seem to get a lot of business from it? Who here hates networking? Oh, okay, one. Okay. I'm going to focus on you. This whole talk is for you. I used to hate networking. I never understood why I needed to do it. For a long time, I was just an employee, and I didn't really get that I should be building my own network. That kind of sounds like, well, why am I going to build somebody else's business? That's a waste of my time. And I was really shy as a kid, and I had a lot of rejection fears that I've been forced to overcome since I started my own business. I remember I was having this conversation with my boyfriend. I had just started technical communications, and it was about 2 months in. I wasn't really doing a lot of networking, and I was a little frustrated that I didn't feel like I was growing my business as fast as I wanted to. And we're on the phone, and he says, well, are you getting on and meeting anybody? I'm like, well, no. I'm doing a lot of internet networking and social media. And he says to me, Lisa, the only thing that matters is between people. I'm like, think about it. The only thing that matters is between people. I can have a shiny new iPhone, but it's the iPhone doesn't bring me any business, right? It's the person on the other end of the line that brings me that business. So the more people we know, the more connections we have, the greater opportunities we have to grow our businesses. And this is what he taught me, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll try it. And then I'll tell you some more stories as we go on about how I really dug in my heels sometimes because I felt so fearful of, I think, either maybe a little bit of success, fearful of rejection. There's plenty of other things I could be doing. So tonight, we're going to cover all the tricks and tips that I picked up along the way through the School of Hard Knocks, basically. And so that you can learn to work the room like a networking powerhouse. Say, I'm a networking powerhouse.
I'm a networking powerhouse.
Right, we'll work on that. So before we get started, I'd like to meet the group a little bit. And I was wondering if anybody might like to share what brought them here today. Is there anybody who has a specific reason? Yes, could you tell me your name?
Anna Maria.
Anna Maria.
And I feel that for the most part, I'm a good networker in the sense that I really care for people and I like to be in their presence and I like that connection, but it's more of a social. And I'm realizing I really need to go in with more of a focus. It's been 1.5 years now, and I've got a lot of good friends, but I need to really build my business. So I need to be intentional about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
With integrity. With integrity, absolutely.
Yeah, really taking it to the next level. I like that. Well, thank you. Let's all thank Anna Maria. I was close. Does anybody else have a reason why they're here today? A specific reason?
I'm here because I recently took on the position of being the president of the Stanford Networking Group, and we're also open to non-Stanford ones. And I need to find out what it is people want to do, what it is that's important to them. So I'm interested.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I'll give her a hand too.
And I'm here because I'm a retired teacher. I taught school for 39 years, and I was around children. And I love being around women. And I feel that if I'm not here, then I'm not creating the relationships that I need to have a successful relationship with people and to really be here and let people know I'm serious about what I do. If I just pop in once in a while, maybe people think that she pops in once in a while. And I want people to know that I'm really serious about improving people's quality of life.
That you're committed and really serious
And I'm passionate
about.
about it.
Passionate about it, absolutely. Thank you. That's all. Thank you. So, when it comes to networking, we're talking about connections, right? And we all know this. I probably don't even need to tell this story because everybody knows it. This story of the mustard seed, right? We all kind of know this story a little bit. The mustard seed is a teeny, 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 tiny seed. Yet the bush, the mustard bush, is very large. And when you're sowing seeds, right, when you're going out there making connections, you don't have any idea which seeds are going to grow and which aren't. Some are going to fall in the rocky soil, right? Some of them are going to fall on the road. Some of them are going to get eaten by the birds. Some of them are going to fall into that rich soil, and you're going to water them and grow them, and they're going to come. There's going to be a harvest. And the thing about networking is we don't know which seeds we're going to harvest. So it's all about persistence, consistency, being visible, being credible. That's how we turn it into profit. And everybody say, I want some profit.
I want some profit.
So what we're going to cover is tips to boost your confidence before events. That was really key for me. I don't know how many of you maybe go through the same stuff that I go through sometimes when I'm going to events, but my mind can come up with all kinds of reasons why I shouldn't get out of the car. So, it's very astute, my mind, and knows all the reasons that are going to get me to do what it wants me to do. We're also going to cover the secret to meeting the most influential people in the room.
Oh, good.
Yeah. This sounds good, doesn't it? And then how to get events working for you instead of you working for them. We're going to take that work out of networking is really what we're doing here. All right, so can anybody share with me what it would be like in your life, what it would mean to your life if you were this networking powerhouse that we're talking about? Does anybody have a vision or an example of what their life might be like if they could walk into the room and work it like nobody's business? Yes.
Well, my vision is that if you can do that, if I can do that, it means I can take control of my life and make it work the way I want. Because if you know who to connect with and how to connect with them, you can go by leaps and bounds instead of just crawling along as most of us do, right?
Mm-hmm. Really take control of your life and
Absolutely.
soar.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Fly. I want
Fly.
to fly.
All right. Excellent. Thank you very much. Anybody else have a reason or a vision for their life?
I would feel like I could walk into a room and just walk up to anybody and just strike up a conversation and feel very relaxed and natural about it and no stress.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. How many of you want to be able to walk into a room, walk up to people, no stress, natural, knock it out of the park? Yeah? Absolutely.
Who doesn't?
Because there's a game going on, but it's probably not a baseball game. I was about to say, because there's a Giants game, but I think it's the wrong sport. So for me, I'm obsessed with this question. What makes people great? What helps people thrive? What helps people soar, right? That's what I'm obsessed with. And so Phyllis was talking a little bit about my background and how I was an NPR reporter, and now I work with entrepreneurs and small service people and small business owners like yourselves. And I got here because when I was an NPR reporter, I was obsessed with the story, the people, the great ideas that they had, or the technology that they were inventing. And I wanted to report on the most innovative, interesting thing out there. Over time, I started realizing that what I knew was the most innovative approach to a problem because I had done the research to do my story. That innovative solution didn't always win out. It was the competitor who had a slightly less innovative solution, but they had a better team, or they had a better marketing strategy, or they were better at sales. Those were the ideas, those were the companies that won. And I kind of felt pretty frustrated about that because I wanted the best idea to win. I wanted something with the most integrity to win out. So that's why I went into PR and marketing, because I really felt like there was only so much I could do as a reporter. I really needed to get in there and teach people exactly what they needed to be doing, give them the skills they needed to have to really soar to get to those customers and clients that they wanted to get to really grow their businesses. So that's a little bit who I am. And so let's cover logistics really quick before we get any much further. Everybody knows the bathroom code, right? 1700. Please turn off your cell phones, even if it's on vibrate. I'd appreciate it if it wasn't on the table because it'll buzz. And there's probably not going to be a fire in San Bruno like last time when all the cell phones were going off. But at the same time, it'll be good for reducing distractions. I'd like you all to know that this is a really safe place. You feel free to experiment. Feel free to express yourself. Nothing is going to leave this room. And we're going to be doing some exercises to help practice our networking skills and our talking about ourselves. So I want you just to have fun with it. Experiment. Treat this like a lab, right? And, we'll just go with the flow. So top strategy number 1. Let's get right into it. Be prepared. Somebody over here was talking about being prepared. Is it Anna Marie. Ann Marie. Mm-hmm. Ann Marie was talking about how she really felt like you were prepared, then you would be more successful at what you're doing, right? Absolutely.
Focused.
So we're going to talk about really being prepared for our events. How many of you walk into a game plan at an event? You know exactly what your measurable goal is going to be and how you're going to achieve it. Hey.
Try to go have fun.
Well, let's get right into it, shall we? There's something I like to call the 12-12-12 rule. How do you look 12 feet away? Do you look apart? How are you 12 inches away? How good are you close up? And what are the 12 words that come out of your mouth? Like it or not, people make blink judgments about people every day. There's a whole book written about this. It's very good. It's called Blink. And it's because our brains are calculating so fast that there isn't, it takes shortcuts over time. It has an experience, it learns from it, and then it applies that experience to the next experience. So if you have never burned your hand before, and your mother says, don't touch that stove, you don't have the experience of being burned, so you're just going to go ahead and touch the stove anyway, because the subconscious mind doesn't hear don't. It just hears touching the stove. So you touch the stove and you burn your hand, and then the brain's like, oh wow, okay, stove, burns. We're going to remember that. We'll apply that to the next situation. So then you encounter a candle, heat. Your brain says, that might burn me too. And so you're making these assumptions. You're applying these patterns. It's a very simple way of describing it. Overall, in our lives, we're applying these patterns all the time to everything. And in the networking situation, the last thing you want to really be able to, erase. The last thing you want to do is give somebody a reason to negate you or put bad connotations to you or just ignore you altogether, right? We don't want people to really judge us, but they're going to judge us anyway. So let's try to create a persona where they're going to have the perception that we want them to have. So when I'm thinking about myself 12 feet away, I think, okay, do I look influential? Do I look successful? Okay. You may have different questions that you ask yourself, depending on what your business is, what you're selling. Okay, everybody's going to be different. I encourage you to start thinking, what is the perception I want to be giving? Who is the person I want people to see me as? And then start really looking at yourself in the mirror, looking at yourself mentally, how you carry yourself. Does that match? Ask your friends. Get feedback. I was giving an image consulting talk a few months ago at a men's group. And I brought a gentleman up as a guinea pig, and he was in t-shirts and jeans. And his name was Randy. And he had a little bit of belly. And so he was kind of dopey, right? And I'm like,
I know him.
So he was actually new to the group, so he's a perfect guinea pig for this exercise. So he's standing there. And I said, everybody, based on nothing else but how Randy looks right now, what would you say his job is? Some people said carpenter, construction worker, janitor. One guy said computer programmer.
Yeah.
We were in Silicon Valley, jeans and t-shirt. And I started watching his face, and it was sort of contorting, like it was like there was gears moving in his head. That, he wasn't liking this perception that people had of him. And this was a men's group. It was finally time for the nice guy to get the girl. That was the group. All these guys were here to get the girl, right? And so he's having trouble getting the girl. I'm just wondering, maybe it's because of how I'm dressing. So he didn't want to tell us what his profession was in front of the group. He wanted to keep it quiet, so okay. Afterwards, he hired me to be his image consultant. And I was like, well, I have to know what you do. It's killing me. And he's like, I'm a police officer.
Oh my goodness.
No wonder you were having this cognitive distortion in your mind. People see you as janitor, but you're a police officer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Probably the best person I could have brought up on stage to do image consulting for.
No respect, is he?
Sir.
Wow.
So that's just an example of people don't know who you are. They're going to make, it's all perception. Life is all about perception. And the truth is whatever you want to make it, really. So you can really create an image for yourself that matches who you want to be, the service you're providing, all those things, right? It's very simple to do, and it's very effective. All right, I skipped all this stuff. Let's go through here. All right, 12 inches away. That's the next part, 12 inches away. This is pretty easy to cover, right? Breath, mints, right? If you're at a networking event that has alcohol, watch the fermented drinks, or keep popping the Altoids all night long. I was at a networking event on Tuesday, and I ran into somebody who I met before. We'd done a little business together, so we're kind of buddy-buddy, and so we were standing a little closer to each other than we might otherwise, and he'd had a beer, and I was like slowly like doing one of these. Oh, yeah, okay. Just stepping away a little bit. Not that I didn't like him, but I just didn't like his breath. And that, and because I knew him, it was okay, because I know he's a good guy. But if I don't know somebody and they got terrible breath, the last thing I want to do is keep talking to them. I mean, that sounds kind of shallow, but kind of true. So.
Smell is very important.
It's very important. It's a very powerful sensation.
And our mates or our boyfriends, my daughter's done some research on this, and the animals smell it. They like the smell. And if you don't like the way somebody smells, you don't want to be intimate with that person.
Exactly. And so that just carries over into all of the judgments that you're making about that person, or you may just stop.
That's right.
I had a schedule, and it could have been a great prospect, or a resource.
No, I wanted to die. I wanted to date me because I smell polite.
You smell polite? Right. Oh.
So it can work in your favor, too. Speaking of smelling, body odor, right? Let's all shower before networking. It's a women's group, so we're probably taking care of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have that problem myself. I don't wear perfume because if somebody else has very powerful perfume on, I get a headache. I can't walk into a candle store. Church used to be really, really bad for me as a kid.
Wow.
Well, at least that's what you told them.
I can't go to church. That lady, Chanel, it's killing me. All right. So, first 12 words out of your mouth, right? Now we're getting really to the meat of it now. So, when someone asks you what you do, what do you say? Somebody want to share? If I were to ask you, what do you do? Would someone just like to share what their answer would be? What's your name?
Rhonda.
Rhonda.
I'm a portrait and wedding photographer that chases babies and brides.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you mind if we do a little exercise of what you just said? Okay, so she said, I'm a photographer, a wedding and children portrait photographer. Okay, speak up and say it again so I don't slaughter it.
A wedding and portrait photographer that chases babies and brides.
Okay. Raise your hand if you'd be interested enough to talk to her for another 30 seconds.
I like that opening.
All right. 2 minutes. Keep your hand up if you talk to her for 2 minutes. 5 minutes.
It depends on what she's
How the
saying.
conversation goes.
Just based on that.
Well, it depends on if it's relevant to me.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's so if it's not relevant, take your hand down. Okay. A couple people would talk to you for another 5 minutes. It's all right. We can get better numbers than that, though. And
Can I say
yeah.
something? Since do you mind if I say something?
Oh, no, go.
I would like to hear you enunciate more or project your voice more.
Okay.
Because I had trouble understanding it when, you might have been.
Louder, please.
Oh, classic, you know.
Teach us to enunciate. So, I'm here to tell you.
It was me, Cynthia.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Guilty as
Yeah,
charged.
we're going to cover that, so thank you. So I'm here to tell you the elevator pitch is dead. That's it. It's dead. The elevator pitch, the 30 seconds where you tell people what you do quickly and in an engaging way, it's done. It's boring.
It is.
People, you think, when people are giving elevator pitches, people think that telling people what they do quickly is really interesting. And it's the way to get them interested in what they do. But actually, people don't want to hear about what you do. They want to hear what you can do for them.
Yeah.
Okay? So take the attention off of you and put it on someone else. Put it on them or a former client or what have you. So I like to call this the escalator pitch.
But are you going up or down?
So this is all about generating curiosity from hello. That's what I like to call it. Okay, so we're generating curiosity. We're not going to tell them everything we do. We just want to get them curious. Okay, so when I talk to people and they ask me what I do, I don't tell them, oh, I do PR and marketing for entrepreneurs and startups and that's what I do. It's kind of boring, actually. And some of you may know PR people or marketing people. And you may start with your brain, you might start patterning, okay, who do I know who's also a PR person, and I didn't really like them, and that person's kind of nosy, and you know what I mean? And you start applying these bad experiences, not like good experiences, fine, but usually it's the bad experiences we remember, we apply it to the new person. So we don't want that. We want to be judged on our own merits, right? So I usually say, who I work with are entrepreneurs and service professionals who are looking to break the six-figure barrier. And I help them master their own marketing outreach to expand their business and develop passive income. That's what I do. Now, what's the thought that's going through your head after I have said that?
Six-figure income.
Yeah. You're.
What did you say? Passive income got her. Okay, excellent.
But I would be wondering, gee, how do you do that?
Exactly. Yeah. How do you do that? And your escalator pitch is working when the person responds, how do you do that? You nailed it. And these escalator pitches are going to change depending on where you are. Okay, so if I'm at Green Drinks, which I was on Tuesday, I wouldn't say entrepreneurs and service professionals. I'd say I work with clean technology companies and sustainable business leaders. And I usually change the six-figure income thing a little bit. Okay? I change it up everywhere I go. I'm doing the same thing for everybody. It's just different packaging. Okay? So, the escalator pitch creates value for you immediately based on results. People want to know what can you do for them. They want results, right? They want value. And their mind starts scanning. It's also neurolinguistic programming technique. The mind starts scanning. When you say who I work with are entrepreneurs and service professionals. Who are looking to break the six-figure barrier. Their mind subconsciously starts scanning for, who do I know that's an entrepreneur? Who do I know that's a service professional? Who do I know that wants to break the six-figure barrier? And it also starts the sales process.
Yeah.
Okay?
Can you repeat that slowly again?
Oh, yes, ma'am. You create value immediately.
No, but who I
work with. We're gonna. It's in the handout actually.
I'm sorry, do you have any more than that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's an extra.
Here's an extra.
So this is on the handout. Who I work with. Blank, 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 blank. Who have the challenge or who are looking for the opportunity. Blank. And I help them. Blank. Okay. So the who I work with is or are, that's your target market. And you want it to be an individual. So actually my example at Green Drinks, I work with clean technology companies, so it's not really actually a good example. I work with CEOs and marketing VPs of clean technology companies. Okay, so if your target market is CEOs, you work with CEOs. If your target market is women in transition, I work with women in transition. Make it a person, because we can identify that. And then who are having the challenge, or if you want to phrase it, who have the opportunity. And then blank. And I help them get whatever the result is. So we're going to take 5 minutes, and I want you to sit with yourself and write out your escalator pitch. It doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just get something on paper.